Welcome to the world of clauses. Hello, English enthusiasts. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of clauses. Don't worry, it's not as complicated as it sounds. In fact, you use clauses every day without even realizing it. Ready to become a clause connoisseur? Let's get started. What is a clause? In the simplest terms, a clause is a group of words that contains a subject, who or what is doing the action, and a verb, the action itself. This combination of a subject and a verb forms the core of a clause, giving it meaning and purpose within a sentence. Without these two essential components, a group of words cannot be considered a clause. Think of a clause as a mini sentence living within a bigger sentence. Just like a sentence, a clause conveys a specific idea or piece of information. However, unlike a full sentence, a clause may not always stand alone. It often needs the support of other clauses to form a complete thought. There are two main types of clauses, independent and dependent. Understanding the difference between these two types is crucial for mastering sentence structure and grammar. Independent clauses, also known as main clauses, can stand alone as complete sentences. They are self-sufficient and do not require additional information to make sense. They express a complete thought. This means that an independent clause provides all the necessary information for the reader or listener to understand the idea being conveyed. For example, the sun is shining. This simple sentence is an independent clause because it has a subject, the sun, and a verb, is shining, and it expresses a complete thought. Dependent clauses, also known as subordinate clauses, cannot stand alone. They are like incomplete thoughts that need to be connected to an independent clause to make sense. They rely on an independent clause to make sense. Without this connection, a dependent clause leaves the reader or listener hanging, wondering what comes next. For example, because the sun is shining. This clause needs more information to be a complete thought. It leaves us asking, what happens because the sun is shining? This clause needs more information to be a complete thought. To make it complete, we could add an independent clause such as, we decided to go for a walk. Together, they form a complete sentence. Because the sun is shining, we decided to go for a walk. This combination of clauses helps to create complex and interesting sentences in our writing. Independent clauses, standing strong on their own. Independent clauses are the backbone of any sentence. They contain a subject and a verb and express a complete thought. Let's look at some examples. She loves to read books. Subject, she, verb, loves. The cat chased the mouse. Subject, the cat, verb, chased. See? They make perfect sense on their own. Dependent clauses teamwork makes the dream work. Just like in a team, where each member has a role to play, dependent clauses need the support of independent clauses to make sense. Think of it as a partnership where both parts work together to create a complete idea. Dependent clauses, on the other hand, need a little help from their friend, the independent clause. They are like teammates who need guidance and support to achieve their goals. Without the independent clause, the dependent clause is left hanging, unable to convey a full message. They cannot stand alone as a sentence because they don't express a complete thought. Imagine trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. It just doesn't work. Dependent clauses are those missing pieces that need the independent clause to complete the picture. They often start with a conjunction, words like because, although, when, if, etc. These conjunctions act as connectors, linking the dependent clause to the independent clause, much like how a bridge connects two separate lands. Let's look at some examples. These examples will help illustrate how dependent clauses function and why they need independent clauses to form a complete sentence. Because she loves to read books. What happened because she loves to read books? This clause leaves us wondering what the outcome is. It needs an independent clause to complete the thought, such as, she visits the library every week. Although the cat chased the mouse, what happened even though the cat chased the mouse? This dependent clause sets up a scenario but doesn't tell the whole story. It needs an independent clause like, it couldn't catch it, to make sense. See how they leave you hanging? Dependent clauses are like cliffhangers in a story. They build anticipation, but need the resolution that an independent clause provides. They need an independent clause to complete the thought. Just as a team needs all its members to work together to achieve a goal, a sentence needs both dependent and independent clauses to convey a complete idea. This collaboration is what makes the dream work in both grammar and teamwork. Adverbial clauses are like adverbs disguised as clauses. They tell us more about the verb in the main clause, answering questions like how, when, where, or why. Let's see them in action. She smiles whenever she sees him. Tells us when she smiles. He ran faster than the wind. Tells us how he ran. Adding adverbial clauses to your writing is like adding spices to your food. They make it more interesting and flavorful. Adjective clauses, also known as relative clauses, add details to nouns in a sentence. They're like little artists, painting vivid pictures in our minds. They often begin with relative pronouns like who, whom, whose, that, or which. Let's admire their artistry. The woman who lives next door is a chef, describes the woman. The book that I borrowed from you was captivating, describes the book. See how they add depth and detail to the nouns? Noun clauses are the masters of disguise. They can act as the subject, object, or complement of a verb, just like a noun. They often begin with words like that: what, who, whom, whose, when, where, why, how. Let's unveil their true identities. What she said surprised everyone. Here, the noun clause acts as the subject. I don't know where he went. In this case, the noun clause acts as the object. These undercover agents add a layer of complexity and intrigue to your sentences. Conditional clauses are the time travelers of the grammar world. They express hypothetical situations and their possible outcomes. They usually begin with if or unless. Let's journey through time with them. If I had $1 million, I would travel the world. This shows a hypothetical situation and its result. You won't succeed unless you work hard. This demonstrates a negative condition and its consequence. Conditional clauses allow us to explore endless possibilities and contemplate different paths in life. Even the most experienced writers stumble upon clause conundrums from time to time. These tricky grammatical puzzles can trip up anyone, regardless of their writing prowess. But fear not. With a bit of practice and some helpful tips, you can conquer these common clause issues and elevate your writing to the next level. Here are some common mistakes and how to avoid them. First up, we have the infamous comma splice. This occurs when two independent clauses are joined together with just a comma, which is not enough to properly link them. Comma splices. Don't join two independent clauses with just a comma. Instead, you have a few options to correct this error. You can use a semicolon to link the clauses, add a conjunction like and or but, or simply separate them into two distinct sentences. Use a semicolon, a conjunction, or separate them into two sentences. Each method has its own stylistic impact, so choose the one that best fits the tone and flow of your writing. Run-on sentences. These occur when two or more independent clauses are joined without proper punctuation or conjunctions. This can make your writing hard to follow and can confuse your readers. Break them down into shorter, clearer sentences. By doing so, you not only make your writing more readable but also more impactful. Clear, concise sentences help convey your message more effectively. Misplaced modifiers. Make sure your dependent clauses are placed next to the word they modify to avoid confusion. A misplaced modifier can change the meaning of a sentence entirely, leading to misunderstandings. Remember, practice makes perfect. The more you write and experiment with clauses, the more confident you'll become. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. They are an essential part of the learning process. Over time, you'll find that these common clause conundrums become second nature, and your writing will shine with clarity and precision. Congratulations! You've journeyed through the world of clauses, from the independent to the dependent, the adverbial to the conditional. You've learned their functions, explored their nuances, and discovered how to avoid common pitfalls. Now it's your turn. Go forth and experiment with clauses in your writing. Play with different structures, combine them in interesting ways, and watch your writing come alive. Remember, mastering clauses is a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the ride.